Formula One is a 200-mile-an-hour entertainment spectacle. It oozes exclusivity, glamour and popularity that's unsurpassed on a global scale. 500 million fans worldwide watch the drama unfold every other Sunday. The drivers command the public limelight, but the real players stay behind the scenes. These are the people who run the teams, without whom the driver's success wouldn't be possible.
It is a huge team sport, but all of these teams need somebody who either started them off or creates the spark. You have to have very strong leadership. Everyone needs to know where they're going. That's how it works. That's what wins world championships.
Formula One is a sport dominated by great leaders, from Enzo Ferrari to Frank Williams and Ron Dennis. They've built racing empires in their own vision. In sport and business, leaders are crucial. They're managers of people and resources, and their judgment determines the direction of a team.
Leadership is everything in life, and in every corporation there has to be leadership, big company, small company.
On this episode of Formula for Success, we look at the great F1 leaders and ask why they've succeeded where so many others have failed.
They are all tremendously determined people with a passion in life, who know what they want and are determined to get it and will brook no opposition.
We look at the theory and the practice behind the strategies they've adopted, what business has borrowed from them and what they've borrowed from business. Grove, in Oxfordshire, England, the home of the Williams Formula One team and the last truly private venture in Formula One. It was started nearly 40 years ago by Sir Frank Williams, who still runs the team with his Director of Engineering, Patrick Head.
There was a little Williams team in 1969 which existed for 7 years. It never had enough money. We started with 5 people, but that included the driver's wife who did the timing.
When Williams started out in Formula One, he was typical of the team leaders back then. A former racer, he joined the likes of Enzo Ferrari, Colin Chapman of Lotus and McLaren's Ron Dennis in shaping the sport as we know it today. What they all had in common were racing backgrounds, former drivers or engineers with a love of the sport.
Basically, Formula One was then a very exciting activity because we were able to do Formula One in those days with relatively small teams. In comparative terms, the cars were very simple, and you tended to get involved in many, many different aspects, organisational as well as technical.
While other teams and leaders have come and gone, Williams and McLaren have not only stayed the course, but have continued winning, claiming a total of 17 Constructors' Championships. What's more, their success has been achieved in one of the most competitive sporting and business environments known to mankind.
If you go to a Grand Prix and screw up because your strategy is wrong, your car's not quick enough, there's nowhere to hide. And you've got 10 days to solve the problem. And consequently, those people who run those teams have to be capable of coping with everything from success to disaster, man management, budgetary issues, technical understanding, and the changing world and the business marketplace in which they all operate. They are very, very special individuals.
Their success has, in part, been down to their leaders' ability to embrace commercialization while retaining the culture and ethos that defined the team in the first place.
You see different styles in the leadership in Formula One. Frank Williams focusing very much on this clear focus. You know, this is why we're all here. We're here to win races. We're here to make the car go faster. In Ron Dennis, you see a different approach again. Very methodical, clear attention to detail, really drilling down and making sure that everyone has those standards of perfectionism that he lives and breathes every day.
The new commercial age of Formula One has seen the rise of businessmen like Flavio Briatore of Renault and Nick Fry of Honda.
In terms of who or what a Formula One team boss or team principal is, we're at a bit of a crossroads, because we've still got a few of the die-hard racer types, Ron Dennis and Sir Frank Williams, but we won't really see their like again. The new brand is a businessman, not someone whose teenage years were dominated by the smell of Castrol R. Whereas the sport used to be a sport, now it's a business.
Team leadership and business leadership have become inseparable in this hyper-competitive environment. One can't be a success without the other. It's sink or swim for a modern-day team leader.
Formula One's not called the Piranha Club by accident. It really is not for the faint-hearted. You really have to be prepared to just do everything, and then when you think you've done everything, you'll need to do more, because it takes that much to survive.
In Formula One, everything happens at speed, meaning rapid decision-making is crucial. It's become the norm in the sport, and it's a valuable lesson that business can learn. It starts on the track itself.
On the pit wall, we're operating in very tight time margins, where there's no elbow room with those margins. Qualifying is 60 minutes long, practice sessions are 60 or 90 minutes long, and there's no extra time if you're looking for it. It just isn't available. So rapid decision making is a basic requirement.
F1 teams operate in a small window between one Grand Prix and the next. Decisions need to be made quickly.
With 2 weeks between races, we say we typically have 334 hours in which to, between the finish of one race and the start of the next race. And in that time period, we have to get the cars back here, take all of the pieces off them, inspect them for wear, inspect them for damage, service the gearbox, take many parts off and turn them around so they can be reassembled, and that will typically happen by the end of the first week.
Our team is really built around rapid response. We have groups of people who are very good at working very rapidly, going through the decision-making process, making good logical decisions fast, getting on, designing parts, rapid manufacturing, getting out there, testing the part and getting it racing. And if we have a problem in a race on a Sunday, we absolutely cannot afford to go into the next race, which may only be 1 week away, with the same problem likely to occur. We have to produce a fix.
This ability to respond rapidly requires a working structure where decisions can permeate downwards clearly and quickly.
The thing with Formula One is you have to operate with a fairly pyramid type organisation, because otherwise you can't get a decision fast enough. What tends to happen with that is people sitting near the top of that pyramid have to make the right decisions, because if you don't, you're in trouble.
You've got to be decisive. More than any other activity, a leader in Formula One has to make quick decisions, and frankly, any decision is better than no decision.
Aligned with the leader's ability to make quick decisions is an element of risk-taking. All the leaders in F1 achieved success by pushing technological and commercial boundaries. Successful teams encourage this sense of free thinking at all levels.
We have people at every point in that structure who are fully empowered to make decisions. They're good people, they understand the scope of their work very well, and they know exactly what it takes to get the cars ready to go racing. And it's that empowerment that allows us to make very rapid decisions.
The demands of many of today's businesses are not too dissimilar to that of a Formula One team.
Leadership isn't just at the top, leadership's at all levels, and it's absolutely important that that permeates the business. And without leadership permeating all levels of the business, feeling empowered and being clear on what they do, then really, I think at the end of the day, leadership and strategy are going to fail.
But the standards have and will always be set from the top. In Formula One, these start with an immaculate attention to detail.
Attention to detail is one of the things that most people lose sight of in their businesses. You know, you see a Formula One team principal walking around, there's a little piece of paper on the carpet or on their motorhome area. He'd always pick them up. Now, if he's doing that and you work for him, you've got to do it. Now, that's just a simple thing like cleanliness, attention to detail, but the presentation skills and the manner in which you communicate with people are very important.
It's these small details that can transfer across to business.
One of the things that kind of stood out when I first visited McLaren, and you see this throughout their organisation, is they have this incredible attention to detail. You know, they promise something and they deliver on it, and there's a great attention to detail, which is what we really have to do every day in our hotels in order to satisfy a guest and for a guest to return. The guests have got a huge amount of choice, and therefore our attention to detail has to be high.
But effective leadership will only flourish if it has the right structure to support it. Formula One has followed the lead of many manufacturers in adopting lean management. After the break, we analyse this approach and look at how sport and business can manage disaster. From Enzo Ferrari to Frank Williams, Formula One has a history of inspirational leaders. What they all share is a passion for the sport and winning. But their success wasn't built on sporting prowess alone. They run their teams like a business, knowing efficiency off the track means performance on it.
Our business is all to do with getting the best bang for the buck. I mean, we really want maximum performance for the lowest price. So doing it in a lean or an efficient way is very critical to getting good performance from the car.
Lean is a popular term in Formula One. It's a method of streamlining production that originates from Japanese manufacturing. Formula One adapted it to speed up the turnaround of cars and the development of crucial components.
It's to do with really eliminating waste. So concepts that people might have heard about include getting things in place just in time. As its name would imply, having something sitting there waiting is costing you money. Just too late doesn't really help. For example, if you imagine the situation where you're racing in somewhere like Monaco, which is a pretty unique race, getting the wing package exactly the right specification and on time for that race is vital. Too late, the wing package is probably no use next year. It'll be a whole new car racing. Too early, and in fact you've probably missed vital development time.
By streamlining their processes and taking any action that doesn't add value, Formula One teams can make the best use of their tight 334-hour window between races. And there's an impressive amount to fit in.
Lean production is really efficient production. I mean, it's as simple as that. It really relies on the minimum amount of stock in the system, doing things very quickly, reducing inefficiency in the system. A normal medium to small engineering business, similar size to us, might only do 80 or 100 changes to their product every year. We do 80 to 100 changes to our products every day in some cases. So you can't afford to have a lot of stock in the system which will be obsoleted, parts which you've made which are sitting on the shelf, because they will be outdated before you potentially can race them.
As race teams have learnt from business, so businesses have learnt from Formula One. Budget airline carrier AirAsia looked to Williams, their corporate partners, for inspiration on how to streamline their operations.
We are the lowest cost airline in the world by far. And a lot of that has come out of people, and dare I say people management. Because if you don't have people that work, if pilots hate engineers, our costs will go up. And I'm telling you, in most airlines they do. If someone said, oh, I'm going to go to a Formula One team to save costs, they would have laughed at me. But there are a lot of efficiencies that we can pick up from Formula One. We are lean. I think we can be much leaner, much leaner, and certainly I think we can learn stuff from Williams as well. To change 4 sets of wheels in 7 seconds, if I could do that, right, then we would save a ton of money.
The turnaround of planes is the aviation equivalent of a pit stop. Shaving off minutes between landing and taking off again can lead to dozens of extra flights per year.
One of the key things is getting people out of the plane and getting people in the plane. It's an art. It's not even 25 minutes, it's almost about 20 minutes, sometimes 18 minutes.
AirAsia's expansion relies on achieving economies of scale. Fast turnaround means lower prices for the consumer. It's a lesson learned from their partners at Williams.
The key to the fast response that you see in the Formula One teams is they don't have over-structured, over-bureaucratic management processes. So, for example, in Williams, people are moved around, working in different technology areas. The danger in big companies is we have silo mentalities, where people work in departments and rise through those departments. But you need to move people around. You need to create this flexibility, adaptation, in order to keep the speed.
In both business and Formula One, the techniques of lean management have made vital savings in resources, time and money. The challenge to save is a new one to Britain's Royal Air Force, but faced with shrinking budgets, they've been forced to become more efficient, starting at their biggest Tornado base.
Marham has got 4 Tornado squadrons, which gives it about a third of the UK's offensive air power. The focus of Royal Air Force operations today, more than ever actually, is to be agile, to be adaptable and to be capable. That applies to our equipment, but even more so it applies to our people.
In Formula One, everything they do is geared towards race day. For the RAF, it's all about being ready when the call to arms comes. The leader's challenge is to keep his crews in a permanent state of readiness, ready to fight anywhere in the world at 24 hours' notice. The difference now is that the money is being squeezed.
Across government, budgets have been drawn down, as they should be. I mean, we should be providing value for money. In our case, that's come across as, in effect, our budget being cut in half for the delivery of the same capability.
To maintain performance levels with only 50% of the budget would be a challenge for any business. At RAF Marham, they had to do it without reducing the time the planes spend in the air.
What we want to do is find the waste, and that's where we brought lean in. We found that our man hours a day, a lot of it is wasted time, non-value added time. The waste is when we go searching for kit, looking for tools, looking for test equipment. What we're trying to do is speed up all those processes to put the tools in the hands of the technician on the jet.
With millions of dollars as well as lives at stake, the parallels with Formula One are obvious. Huge teams work together to ensure the planes are ready for their pilots. To reduce their budget, they had to reduce the number of man hours.
What we've done is put all the kit at point of use. So pre-positioned in here is all of the kit we need to do mechanical component changes, mechanical servicing, fault diagnosis. The technician, Spanner Turner with his hand on the jet, has literally got to walk less than 15 feet left to right of the aircraft to get what he needs.
With the changes implemented, the RAF's dip into business practices and Formula One strategies have been a success. Despite being on just half the budget, they're a leaner, more efficient fighting unit.
We've got a far increased aircraft availability. It means we've got more jets to fly. What that means in the end is we can deliver operational capability in a far more effective way, whether it be at home from a training perspective or whether it be overseas.
The mark of good leadership is how an industry or organisation reacts in times of crisis. Such was the case in the 1994 San Marino Grand Prix, when 2 drivers were killed. One of them was the 3-time world champion, Ayrton Senna. The fallout threatened the very existence of the sport.
In the aftermath of the Senna and Ratzenberger accidents, there were questions asked in parliaments all over the world. The Vatican was getting involved. Not to put too fine a point on it, it needed to be handled with statesmanship. It was not a knee-jerk reaction. The things they did, they barely made a misstep in the immediate aftermath, and then in the medium term and the long term in the changes they brought to the cars. I think that's something that Formula One handled supremely well.
The record speaks for itself. Since that fatal weekend in 1994, the sport has suffered no further driver fatalities. In that same period, it has increased its number of worldwide viewers and sponsors tenfold.
Risk management in Formula One, I think, is probably the best in the world of any industry. The sport has been made safer, the cars have been made safer, the track's been made safer, the medical facilities are better, the marshals are better trained. So when an accident does happen, it's no longer fatal. Now that any business can learn from, because there's no business that doesn't have a risk management problem.
Disaster management in business is crucial in today's market. Dealt with correctly, the damage can be minimized. Dealt with badly, it can literally wipe millions off a company's share price.
The research we've done over large samples of companies experiencing disasters has 1 or 2 very clear and unambiguous messages. And one of them is that the CEO has to be involved in the process. You need to take control of the process yourself, and you need to have a clear and transparent, honest communication with the media.
Whether in business or Formula One, good leadership requires good communication both inside and outside an organisation. When the going is good, a leader must ensure complacency doesn't set in. When it's bad, they must have the right structure and strategy to weather the storm. A key to leadership is passion. In Formula One, this stems from a love of racing and desire to win. In all successful organisations, this passion comes from above and empowers those below. A leader's vision creates a common goal, which can be a very powerful tool in their quest for success. Next time, we look at how Formula One became the market leader in sports branding, how it continues to set the standard, and what to expect in the future.